Patrick Hamilton to provide Pennies for Progress quarterly update.
Good evening, Council. As usual, I'm going to go through and highlight a handful of projects. I'm not going to hit on all of them, but feel free to ask me at the end or whenever if there's a project or two that I didn't hit on. So we'll look at projects that are under construction. Highway 160 West going into North Carolina. This is actually standing down on the North Carolina end of the job, looking back towards Zor Road. You can see the curb and gutter, guardrail, all has been installed, storm drainage. This is standing at Zor Road, looking toward Gold Hill Road. So you can see they've gotten pretty much all the asphalt installed on that side of the road. They are hoping to finish the asphalt necessary this week. The weather's supposed to clear up later this week to where they can then shift traffic onto that side, hopefully next week. Highway 274, Pole Branch Road. This is the 5-lane bridge over Mill Creek on 274. They've continued the progress since the last time we spoke, so that new bridge is coming along. Just a reminder, they are going to build half that bridge, switch traffic, then tear down the existing bridge and build the other half of that bridge. This is looking at the intersection of Pole Branch Road and Fuel Road. The Pole Branch 6-month closure is in effect. It closed last week. As you can see, that's Fuel Road on the right side of your screen, and that car is turning left onto Pole Branch Road there. So that closure is happening as we speak. Anderson Cowan Farm Road. It's an intersection realignment. This picture is kind of looking towards the City Operations Center. You can see they have curb and gutter storm drainage installed on the majority of the project. The weather is going to hit this project this winter, so it will be next spring or early summer before this project is finished. Cherry Road. This one is almost done. Thank goodness. This has been going on for most of this year. It was a very in-depth project. A reminder, we did have to dig down 13 inches and essentially rebuild the entire road, so it's been quite a project. But as you can see, that's the final surface being installed there. They still have a little bit more left to do. Hopefully they can wrap that up this week since the weather is clearing up. Excuse me. Once they finish the main line paving, they'll come back and do the side roads and driveways and tie those in as well. But the main part is the main line paving should be finished up, hopefully this week if the weather can hold out for us. Gold Hill I-77. This project, majority of this work's being done at night. As you can see on the screen, there's some new pavement there on I-77. They have shifted traffic. They've also shifted traffic on Gold Hill Road. This allows them to begin work on widening the bridge over I-77. I know there was a little bit of hiccup in traffic when the traffic was shifted on Gold Hill Road. We are working through some issues with the DOT on that to help traffic get through that interchange as quickly as they can. But again, the bulk of the work being done at night, so that definitely helps from a traffic standpoint.
Patrick,
yes, sir.
To that Gold Hill side. One thing that I've noticed is that instead of using Gold Hill Road, now the traffic's decided to come down Pleasant, trying to get on 160. Sure. The other morning, if you know where the Wendy's is on 160, it took me 48 minutes to get to the peach stand. From there to there. This morning, it took me a little over 32 minutes to get from the recycling center at Baxter onto I-77 South. And it's mainly because when you get up to an intersection, you realize what they're doing. Cars who are waiting at the light to make a left, so many, they just go out in the intersection and they block all of the intersection. And so traffic can't go from the other lights. And so the entire, and it's a lot coming from trying to get out of Baxter. It's a lot coming down. There was a wreck on 77 this morning. It was kind of the perfect storm, so to speak. Is there a way to get DOT to monitor the light sequences better, and also perhaps have the sheriff's office or someone give us a law enforcement presence to try to encourage cars not to just sit out through 2 light cycles out in the middle of the road?
Certainly. Yes, I will talk to DOT about that with their traffic signal department down in Chester. I know 160 is one of their items they look at very often. So with this project going on, that will divert more traffic down there. Traffic tries to find the path of least resistance. So with the construction going on there, they are going to try to find other routes. So we will look into that. Barrett Highway 321 connector project over in Clover. This is the bottomless culvert that's been installed. The backfill has occurred on it. Couldn't really get a good picture of this project due to all the mud. If you look kind of at the back of the picture, they're doing a lot of borrow work, bringing in some fill dirt to try to balance out the site. So they are working out there as best they can in between the weather and the rain, but that project is moving along on track for a summer of 2020 completion. Now I want to highlight all the projects that we're in the middle of right-of-way acquisition on. A lot of these are, same ones y'all seen the last few times. Again, right-of-way can take anywhere from a year to 2 years on projects, depending on the number of parcels and how many corporations are involved. So Highway 2151, Highway 160 East, Riverview Road, Highway 72, US 321 Johnson Railroad intersection here in York, and Bate Harvey Road in Clover. Bate Harvey Road is a Pennies 4 project. That one doesn't have near as many parcels on there for right-of-way acquisitions. So that one will probably be going to construction first out of all those on the screen. There's a handful of other projects where we're at the final plan stage. Highway 557, the 5-lane project in Lake Wiley. The final plans are to be submitted this month. That does include a new 5-lane bridge. So those plans will be submitted to DOT. Should be by the end of this month. Mount Gallant Road. This is from Dave Lyle to Anderson, a 3-lane road widening. Final plans are on track to be submitted hopefully this week, but I went ahead and showed this month. We are coordinating with the Panthers. This is Mount Gallant, stretch of Mount Gallant runs along the new site. We are coordinating with their traffic folks to determine the best way to build our project and their infrastructure needs as well. So we are, again, in continued conversations with them. Fort Mill Southern Bypass Spratt intersection realignment right there at Riverview Elementary School. We've already submitted final plans once to DOT. We have gotten comments back on those. Consultant is addressing those comments now and look to get those final plans back in for review as quickly as possible. And we have several projects going to bid this winter. US 321 Kings Mountain intersection. This is a Pennies 4 project that we are ready to bid this winter. The consultant is putting the bid manual together now. We've gotten all the necessary right-of-way and permissions. DOT has approved the plans. One more minor comment for DHEC to approve the plans as well, and then we will be ready to bid this project. Pennies 4 resurfacing project. This will be a group we're sending. These are all state roads that DOT will be bidding out in January for us. It is about 10 miles long. Most of these are in the Rock Hill area. We have a second Pennies 4 resurfacing group.
You said they're bidding out in January. Can you give us kind of an estimate for completion date?
I would imagine it will have a November 30th completion date.
Of the same year?
Correct. I'll have to verify that with the DOT, but typically when they bid their projects in the winter, the 4 roads should be able to be completed. They'll put a November 30th, but I'll verify that. Second resurfacing bid, DOT is putting out for us as well. These are more projects on the western side of the county, Clover area, Sharon, 13.5 miles. Again, I would imagine there'd be a same, probably November 30th completion date on this project.
The Sharon project, that's from downtown heading out toward.
Heading south on 49.
Heading south, okay.
Yep, and then Woodlawn.
Because I know they
also-
patched in Sharon and just kind of patched a few places, and
Certainly.
I've gotten some feedback on that.
Yep.
So.
And there will be a third Pennies 4 resurfacing bid going out this winter as well. These are more county roads that the county is going to bid out. I think Hoodtown, our public works is probably going to try to pave that one in-house, so we'll be able to save a little bit of money there, but the other 5 roads will be bid out. We're putting that package together now. 10 miles, if you take off Hoodtown, it'll be around 8 or 8.5. So we have a lot of resurfacing projects hitting the streets this winter and being active throughout all of next year. And again, I didn't hit on all the projects, but I'll be happy to answer any questions on projects I didn't hit or any other questions you may have.
Any questions? Mr.
Yes.
Winkler?
I see representatives from York School District 1 here, and I voiced concern about this one. I know they're working on it now, but I would like to have seen it in the summertime, but where are we on Hunter Street, and what do we see happening there? I know they're starting some.
Hunter Street last week.
Yeah.
They have done some reclamation out there and some work out there. If the weather permits, they'll get it done this year. Again, we're getting into that time of the year where it's hit or miss. Today is rainy and cold, and Friday it'll be 65 degrees and sunny. So there's several projects in, several roads in the York area that are in that contract. A couple of them they've already completed, and I think there's 2 or 3 others that they're still waiting to get back in on.
I know that was the DOT decision, but I would appreciate if you'd tell them again that I think they could have made a better decision than starting Hunter Street after school started and starting it this late in the year to where they're probably not gonna finish it till next year, and it's caused a mess and a safety concern for our students and our citizens over there.
Understood.
Ms. Cox?
We disbanded the Citizen Committee and the Pennies Ad Hoc Committee after the audit was conducted and you were hired, and we felt extremely comfortable that this program was in good hands. The only thing that I like to make sure that we ask every time that we do this report is, are all of the projects that were promised to the public that are on the Pennies programs, are they on schedule to be funded, with the exception of Neely Road, which was a contingency
Correct.
road? Everything is
At
on
this
schedule?
time, every project will be funded based on the revenues we've gotten to this point. Now, again, if something happens in 2 years and our revenues go down, Kevin and I have talked about that, and obviously those bottom projects get put in jeopardy. But at this time, every project is moving forward. In fact, Highway 21, which is project 15 on Pennies 4, which is, not the bottom project, but it's one project above Neely, that one's under design and full steam ahead as well. So we're working on, every project is active right now except Neely Road.
Mr. Roddy?
I see they've completed McConnell's Highway. Did we come in? I'm sure we were way over budget because this thing went on and on and on for a while.
Believe it or not, we should have probably about $800,000 left on the contract once we pay out the retainage and the final invoice.
So we'll be under budget on it?
We'll be a little bit under. We did hit the contractor with over $200,000 in liquidated damages from the not being completed on time.
Right, okay.
I got an invoice in today, and there'll be one more invoice after the one I got today. So we will put about $800,000 or so back in the bank on that project.
Maybe I missed when you were going through your presentation. So where are we on the 72?
72 is
Because I
in,
know we're still trying to work stuff out with the fire department. And
we're in right-of-way acquisition right now.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of parcels on that project. We're starting to make some offers to acquire some right-of-way, but with the number of tracks on there, it's going to take a good bit longer.
Now that project was on what, Pennies 2 or 3?
2, 3, and 4.
And
There's 5 of them like that.
Yeah, it's amazing how something like Kings Mountain 321 that's on Pennies 4 is
Correct.
ready to go now. Then you look back and see that the 72 project has been on there forever and a day. And I
I can
argued
speak to that, yes, sir.
I think
So,
it was only like 3 parcels or something.
well, on Kings Mountain, there was no right-of-way to acquire. We had to get permissions from 3 property owners.
Oh, that was simple.
Took about 2 months. The design was, not to oversimplify it, but it was a simple design where we're realigning a side road into a main road. So most of it's within the existing right-of-way. Again, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's not a 3-mile widening
Right.
project. 72, it was on Pennies 2. Again, it was at the bottom, didn't have the funding, got moved to Pennies 3.
Went to the bottom.
Again, it was at the bottom, so we didn't start design on it till 2015. So really being in year 4 right now, we're actually doing pretty good schedule-wise. We also had a major scope change, because originally that was supposed to be a 3-lane project all the way through. About halfway through, we took a step back, made it a 5-lane project, so we had a good bit of redesign in there. So I understand the frustration. It's been on the bottom before, and the bottom on Pennies 3, and I get asked about that project as well. When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? Traffic out there is continuing to increase. But there's reasons why it's taken this long, but we are moving forward with it and working as quickly as we can to acquire the right-of-way out there as best we can.
Dr. Blackwell?
Patrick, I feel kind of left out, so I thought I'd ask you a question.
Sure.
Give me remind me again about the deal on Highway 21 expansion. I think it was 19th on the list for Pennies 4.
For Pennies 4, it was project number 15 out of 16.
So what's your anticipation on that one?
Like I mentioned earlier, we're moving forward with it. We're doing all of our environmental permitting work now. Once we get that finalized, then we'll begin preliminary design on the project. So right now, the only thing holding that project back is just the time it takes to design it.
So what would be your hunch in terms of the chances of it making Pennies 4?
The way I feel right now, I think it will get funded in Pennies 4. A lot can happen in 4 or 5 years, but the way we're progressing now on our projects and some of the budgets we're seeing. The revenue that has been received up to this point from the Department of Revenue, I feel good at this point on, November 18th, 2019, that
I'll take
that
it.
it'll be funded through Pennies 4.
Since you had brought it up earlier and I didn't ask, Spratt and the Southern Bypass, have we cleared the hurdles with the previous owner that we've had an issue with?
We are this close. Attorneys are reviewing the final agreement, and we have about 2 lines left to agree on, and then it'll be bringing to y'all in council hopefully in December.
How much of a delay has that previous developer owner caused in this project?
Well, it wasn't necessarily the previous owner's fault. It was the fact that we had the pedestrian tunnel designed in one spot when it was an intersection project, and then when Pennies 4 happened, now that whole area became widened, which means the alignment was going to shift. So therefore, the location of the pedestrian tunnel had to shift. So it was decided, we can either redesign the whole tunnel and lose time, or we can move the tunnel to the widening project. So we did lose a handful of months, but we made the decision several months back, once we got the okay from the property owner to relocate the tunnel, that we went ahead and moved forward with the final plans, which is why they've already been submitted once already. So it didn't help, but it actually saves us money and time in the long run, being able to move that tunnel to the widening project.
I think you and I have been talking about this tunnel for about a year, so that
It's
was
been
my
quite
question.
some time. It
Oh.
has indeed.
Any other questions? Ms. Love?
I just want to welcome you to my world, John. In case there's anybody from District 2 here in the audience, I just want to say that just because I'm not asking any questions tonight, it doesn't mean that I haven't been asking questions every day, right, Patrick?
Absolutely.
So they're looking at maybe some changes there for the light at Pole Branch. Did you say that was being monitored by video or something? What?
Video detection at 274 and Fuel Road, yes.
Yeah, and I can't remember the other thing that you said that I got an answer from you today, and I read it so quickly that I don't remember.
The speeding on fuel, we
Yes.
talked with the sheriff's department, and they're gonna get one of the mobile radar machines up there to, hopefully on Wednesday.
Okay, that'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you.